Hello everybody, my name is Zach, and today, I'll be documenting and explaining a situation that should never have happened in the first place. If you're a long-time viewer of mine, you're probably aware that I don't make videos or posts like this unless I absolutely have to. I don't enjoy doing this, I don't seek this out, and I don't benefit from it in any meaningful way. But when the actions of an individual or group crosses a certain line, especially when it involves coordinated harassment and a direct attack on me, and/or my community, I'm not going to sit quietly and take it. This situation I'm about to tell you about revolves around a Discord server raid that occurred on December 27th. While I was offline dealing with real-life family obligations, my server was targeted with racist, homophobic, and anti-Semitic content. You know, the kind of material that can get a server permanently wiped off the face of the platform if you don't act immediately. To add salt to the wound, I wasn't present when this happened. My moderators were left scrambling to clean up this horrible mess, because a group of people decided that harassment was more important than basic human decency. I am making this video to call out a handful of individuals for their direct involvement in this incident, to document what actually happened using screenshots and timestamps, and to address the absolutely pathetic attempts that have been made to rewrite the narrative after everything that happened.
That is one big pile of shit.
The point of this video is to hold people accountable and to set the record straight when people think they can lie their way out of something once they get caught. With that established, let's walk through exactly what happened, in the order it happened, using nothing but receipts. On December 27th, while I was offline handling family obligations, my Discord server was raided. A group of approximately 4 accounts joined my server and immediately began spamming racist, homophobic, and anti-Semitic content in the general channel. I don't even want to explain exactly what they posted because it's so egregious and vile, that YouTube would probably either take this video down, or at the very least age restrict it. And because I wasn't there, my moderation team had to step in and deal with it while I was unavailable. Also, the date of December 27th in particular is funny, because I had posted on my community tab earlier that I plan to premiere Dora Gets Grounded on Christmas, Violent Night in my server on or before that date, which makes me feel that this timing was possibly deliberate. That timing matters, because it establishes motive. Another thing that's pertinent to mention is that the raiders were spamming this specific meme, which reads POV, go kid when they keyboard spam into Shaun's comments. I'll get to it later. To be clear, this was not the result of one person's actions. This was a fully coordinated attack. Multiple people joined, and multiple accounts posted. That's important, because coordination implies prior discussion, and prior discussion implies intent. With that out of the way, let's talk about who was involved. The 4 names you're going to hear repeatedly throughout this video are just Shaun, GD Walk Inanimate, that black animated guy _J, also known as J4, and Alex Zalty YT. I hope I'm very clear in saying that I do not want anybody going after them or harassing them on my behalf or otherwise. The point of this video is simply to hold them responsible and to dismantle their attempts to rewrite the narrative. Their appearance in this video is enough of a punishment. Also, everything I'm about to show you comes directly from their own words, their own messages, and their own actions. Nobody forced them to say any of this, nor did anybody edit these screenshots, nor did anybody take anything out of context. With the clearly established, let's start with the first public post that attempted to frame this situation. This is the post made by Shaun shortly after the raid occurred. It's worth noting that the post is now deleted, which tells me a lot more than he probably intended. That's because if this post was as honest, airtight, and truthful as he wants people to believe, there would be no reason to quietly delete it afterward. I'm going to read it in full, verbatim, word for word, and then we're going to stop and dissect it. He says, and I quote, "Yeah, so, I might be I recently restored ties with GD Walkin and Alex Zalty thinking it would be a good idea." Pause. This is already important, because Shaun is publicly confirming he restored ties with 2 people who, as we are going to see, were actively involved in a raid and/or the planning of one. For context, Joaquin and Alex are two individuals I've had to cut off for two reasons. First, Alex was cut off a while ago because he has a documented history of plagiarizing my content and then throwing tantrums when he gets called on it. And Joaquin was cut off because he has a long-standing pattern of doing reckless, stupid that me and my friend group constantly had to step in to clean up. I've explicitly told them both to leave me alone and to no longer contact me before cutting them off. Anyway, Shaun is trying to present this as some randoms did a thing and my name got dragged into it, and this post starts with him admitting he chose to reassociate with them. That matters, because the entire rest of his post is him trying to distance himself from the consequences of that decision. Anyway, let's continue. One day I told them about some old drama that happened between me and Zach the Go animator. So let me get this straight. You restored ties with two individuals who I explicitly cut off for egregious behavior in the past, and then you gave them context involving me and my history with you? Whether you think you've caused anything or not, you're admitting you reintroduced my name into a conversation with these people. Again, not proof in and of itself that he personally typed in my server, but it completely kills the I'm a total bystander who had nothing to do with anything ever narrative he's trying to sell us. But I digress. A few days later I found out that they raided Zach's server today with a few other people and spammed this image which single-handedly might have fucked up my career once more. Zach, if you see this, I apologize for what they did. I cut ties with them a bit ago. Notice the wording here. This is very deliberate. He's framing this as something he only learned about after it happened, and crucially something that occurred completely outside of his awareness or involvement. But that framing already conflicts with what we are going to see shortly, because multiple people involved admit in their own words that planning happened before the raid, directly involving Shaun. Also, pay attention to this line, which single-handedly might have fucked up my career once more. That explains to me clearly what his primary concern is. Turns out, it's not the raid, not the content that was posted, not the fact that my moderators had to clean up bigoted spam while I was offline. The focus is on him and how this could affect his reputation. If that doesn't tell you that the entire purpose of this post was to save his ass from repercussions, I don't know what will. Now that we have Shaun's post out of the way, we can finally move on. A few hours later, I was able to get a hold of direct messages from Alex and Joaquin that were exchanged after the raid took place. These messages are paramount, because this is where the entire "I didn't know this happened behind my back, I had no involvement" narrative Shaun tried selling gets completely shot to hell. I'm going to read the relevant parts straight through first so you can hear them uninterrupted. Let's start with what Alex said, and again, these are his own words. I was in a server voice chat called the Hellbringers. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a server where you raid other servers or something. I don't know why I joined it. So like I said, I was in a Discord voice chat server with Shaun and GD Joaquin, and they were planning to raid Zach's server, and right before they were gonna raid Zach's, I made this meme called POV, Go Kid, when they keyboard spam into Shaun's comments. This was the exact meme. Right after I posted the meme, they started to raid Zach's server by posting shit and including this meme. I did not raid Zach's server. J4 did. Alright, holy that's a lot to unpack. First and foremost, Alex openly admits, in his own words, that he was in a voice chat in a server whose entire purpose is facilitating raids against other servers. That alone dismantles the idea that this was some random spontaneous thing Shaun had no idea of until after it was done. You don't just accidentally end up in a raid server and accidentally sit in a voice chat where raids are being discussed. Second, and this is critical, Alex explicitly states that he was in a voice chat with Shaun and Joaquin, and that they were planning to raid my server. Planned. Premeditated. Beforehand. That directly contradicts Shaun's public claim that this all happened behind his back and without his knowledge. Kiss my ass. Third, Alex admits he created the same exact meme that was spammed during the raid using Shaun's name. And then, immediately after that meme was created, the raid begins. And you expect me to believe this was all a crazy coincidence and that you had no idea of it? Give me a break, Shaun. We see that Alex tries to soften his self-induced blow by saying I didn't personally spam it, J4 did. Unfortunately for him, that distinction does not matter in the slightest. Creating material for a raid and being present while it's planned makes you involved. Period. Now let's move on to Joaquin's messages. While not as crucial to the story as Alex's, they still matter because they show awareness, motive, and then a very obvious attempt to backpedal once consequences showed up. He says, and this is verbatim, "I only did it cause I didn't want them to hate me anymore. But looking back I feel bad for associating with them. In fact the people who were friends with them turned against me." Alright, so this is where the backpedaling I mentioned earlier starts. Joaquin admits his participation in the raid, or at the very least the planning of it, out of fear of social backlash, saying "I didn't want them to hate me anymore." That is a straight admission of motive. You don't go along with something you aren't aware of. This statement confirms awareness, intent, and participation at some level, whether direct or indirect. Also, I can't help but notice there is no denial that a raid was being planned anywhere in these DMs. There is no denial that Shaun was present. There is no denial of the raiding server. Very interesting. Later on, Joaquin again tries to pivot. He sends another message that says, "I actually did this as a setup. I tried to be sympathetic towards them but I decided to make it obvious that I was doing it to get Shaun over." Contrary to popular belief that I unfortunately saw in the comment section of my post about the whole fiasco, this is not proof that Shaun had nothing to do with it. This is Joaquin finally understanding the gravity of his actions. He goes from "I didn't want them to hate me" to "actually it was a setup." If that isn't the biggest oxymoron in the history of linguistics, then I don't know what is. Those two statements directly contradict each other. You don't accidentally participate because you're scared of being hated and simultaneously mastermind a setup. That makes no sense whatsoever. But, and this is a huge but, even if you take Joaquin's setup claim at face value, which for the record I don't, it still doesn't refute Alex's admission. Alex independently confirmed Shaun was in the voice chat while the raid was being planned. Joaquin changing his story does not magically erase what Alex already admitted. Now I'd like to talk about J4, also known as that black animated guy J, because his involvement is one of the most conveniently ignored parts of every single defense that's been shoved in my face so far. Wait a second. That black animated guy _J? That name sounds familiar, doesn't it? Why yes, viewer with logic, it does. Let's rewind back to the logs of the accounts who joined on the day of the raid, shall we? Of approximately 4 accounts joined my server. Well, that's interesting. That black animated guy _J joined the server, so let me get this straight. This J4 individual, who for the record I had no idea of until this raid happened, not only joined to raid my server, but he also had the balls, or sheer stupidity, or both, to raid my server on presumably his main Discord account. And it gets better. Because immediately after Shaun's initial post on the situation was made, this same individual, J4, runs straight to the comments under the post and starts playing dumb. Acting shocked. Acting confused. Acting like he had absolutely no idea what just happened. Meanwhile, the logs show him joining my server, participating in the raid, and getting banned. Kiss my ass. Now that matters, a lot actually, because every single defense I've seen so far conveniently skips over him. Shaun's post doesn't even utter a peep about J4. The defenders in my comments don't ever mention J4. That this all happened behind Shaun's back crowd doesn't explain why a raider using his main account immediately went into damage control mode in public comments. I find that very interesting and I hope you do too. Now let's talk about something else that suddenly started happening after all of this went public, because this frankly speaks volumes to me. Shortly after my post went up and after Shaun stopped engaging entirely, he began quietly leaving Discord servers. No explanation. No clarification. Just dipped with no thought. One of those servers was Go in a Mid-City, which I can very clearly show you, and at the same time, J4 also quietly left Rapper offline server. Again, no explanation. Just gone. Now I'm 100% aware that leaving a server by itself is not an admission of guilt. but leaving multiple shared spaces immediately after being implicated while refusing to provide evidence, refusing to clarify and refusing to engage further is simply not what innocent people do. If this entire situation really was as simple as this all happened behind Shaun's back, then the correct response would have been very straightforward: to stay put, present evidence, show screenshots from the raid server, show timestamps disproving involvement, and shut the accusations down cleanly. That never happened. Shaun and his buddies never even bothered. All we got from him was silence, randomly leaving servers, and a sudden pivot to "I'm going drama-free now." Interesting. Alright. Now, with all of the context laid out, let's move on to what happened after I made my post calling everyone out. After I made my initial post calling everyone out and laying everything out with screenshots, timestamps, and direct messages from both Walk-In and Alex, the comment section predictably turned into a mix of people who actually read the evidence, and people who very clearly didn't, mostly the latter unfortunately. Let's start with Shaun himself, because he couldn't resist leaving a comment under my post. I'm just gonna address this real quick. I had no involvement in the server raid and I did not ask for or support it in any way. The moment I found out what Alex and Walk-In were doing, I cut ties with them completely. I understand why this situation is frustrating, especially given past history, but assuming intent or coordination where there was none is unfair. My apology was not an attempt to deflect blame or control a narrative. It was meant to acknowledge what happened, make it clear I wasn't involved, and take responsibility for trusting the wrong people. I am accountable for who I associate with, and I've corrected that. I am not responsible for actions taken without my knowledge or consent. Bringing old drama into this only keeps things going when they don't need to. This will be my last statement on the matter. I am moving forward and not escalate this any further. He then says, assuming intent or coordination where there was none is unfair. That's just flat out wrong. We are not assuming coordination when we have concrete documented admissions of coordination. That's not assumption. That's documentation. And then we get to my personal favorite part. This will be my last statement on the matter. I am moving forward. So Shaun just ends the discussion here. He doesn't provide counter evidence. He doesn't offer to present screenshots. He doesn't deny specific claims. He doesn't address J4. He doesn't address the raiding server. He doesn't address the timing. He simply declares the conversation over and exits. And that would maybe mean something if he didn't immediately follow this by quietly deleting his original post, leaving Discord servers, and going completely silent while insisting on staying drama-free. Which is exactly what he did. Now, you won't believe this, but I replied to Shaun's comment. Shocker. I'm not going to reread my entire reply word for word here. Pause if you want to read the whole thing. But in a nutshell, I told him that calling documented admissions assumptions doesn't magically make them stop existing, and that choosing to disengage once all the evidence is there in plain sight isn't the same thing as being right. And predictably, instead of responding with evidence, Shaun replied with this gem: continuing to restate assumptions as facts isn't productive. I've said what I needed to say, and this conversation is over. So in other words, you're saying I'm not going to address any of the evidence, I'm not going to rebut any specific claims, I'm not going to provide screenshots or timestamps, and I'm not going to explain away the contradictions, I'm just going to stop engaging. Now let's move on from Shaun himself and into the comment section under my post, because boy oh boy is there a lot to uncover there. Starry the Purple Healer says, oh great. A conclusion jumper, which is you. Alright Starry. This is the level of rebuttal we are working with here. No reference to the screenshots, no reference to the admissions, no reference to any of the evidence I've presented in broad daylight. No attempt to dispute the raid, the planning, the voice chat, the meme, or J4's involvement. Oh, and Starry, I checked your channel, and I can't help but acknowledge that your bio states you're 21 years old. If you're old enough to legally drink, vote, and presumably hold down a job, and your contribution to a documented discussion about a coordinated raid is kindergarten-level dismissal without acknowledging anything in my post, then that tells me everything I need to know about how seriously anyone should take you. Moving on, because unfortunately Starry wasn't the only one who felt the need to chime in without actually engaging with a single piece of evidence. Nola the Go animator says, you literally have in your own set of screenshots a DM message from Joaquin saying word for word that he's making it obvious that it was him doing it to get Shaun over. Your own screenshot proves that Shaun had nothing to do with this. I'm not even sure why I'm here arguing with you, because I know it's basically just arguing with a brick wall, because even with solid clear evidence 2 centimeters from your face proving you wrong, you're still right no matter what. However, I don't care. Shaun didn't have anything to do with any of this. He was in a Discord call the entire time all of this was going down with my other friend Dylan writing the script to one of my upcoming movies. I have messages and time frames proving that to be a fact. Again, I know you don't care about facts, that much is obvious, but still. This is gonna be the only time I put my 2 cents in on this whole scenario. Look at the facts and evidence a little closer and learn actual facts before jumping to stupid conclusions. Your reply to this comment will be ignored, because I know you're just gonna read it and be like, nope, you're wrong, I'm right like always. Enjoy your life, mate. Okay, let's briefly sidetrack to when he says this is gonna be the only time I put my 2 cents in on this whole scenario. Please make a mental note of that part. Just do it. Anyway, first he claims that one of Joaquin's later messages proves Shaun had nothing to do with this. No, it doesn't. And I already explained why earlier, but I'll repeat it slowly since you seem to be struggling. Hopping back to the DMs, Joaquin initially admits participation because he didn't want them to hate him. Later, he suddenly says it was all a setup. Those 2 statements cannot both be true at the same time. Either you went along with it because you were scared of being disliked, or you were participating in the entire fiasco to sabotage Shaun. The first statement is a straight-up admission of compliance. Also, I love how Nola says that he has messages and time frames supposedly proving Shaun's innocence, and then proceeds to provide none of them and chooses to no longer engage. No screenshots, no timestamps, no logs, no server messages, nothing. Absolutely nothing. You're just saying trust me, I have proof, while sitting in my comment section calling me a brick wall. If you have proof, show it to us, and put an end to this. If you don't, shut the f up, and stop pretending our imagination is admissible evidence. And also, Shaun was in a Discord call the entire time writing a movie script with my friend Dylan. Cool story, but that's not an alibi, because the accusation is not Shaun personally typed every message during the raid. The accusation is premeditation and coordination prior to the raid, which Alex explicitly admits happened in a voice chat Shaun was in. You can be busy during the execution and still be involved in the setup. That's literally how coordination works. If you want to disprove that, you'd need to show messages inside the raid server before the raid showing Shaun objecting, leaving, or refusing. Nobody has done that. Not Shaun. Not you. Not anyone. Therefore this video exists. Does that make sense to you, Nola the Go animator, or should I get some crayons and explain it again? Now remember how Nola said, this is gonna be the only time I put my 2 cents in on this whole scenario? Well, after I responded to him with actual logic, and again, I'm not gonna reread my entire reply here, pause the video if you want, he comes back later anyway. Which is hilarious because he swore up and down in his previous comment that he was not going to continue engaging. So now not only are you continuing to engage, but you're doing it by pivoting away from the actual topic at hand and trying to turn this into a pissy 4th grade slap fight because you clearly don't have anything useful to say about the actual evidence. Here's what he replies with next. Yeah man, you have such a right to make fun of Star for a bluey profile picture when yours is literally a business-friendly version of Dora the Explorer, which is 1,000 times worse. As a matter of fact, your whole channel is hilarious to me. You're so self-righteous and full of yourself, meanwhile your whole entire success is a complete joke. The whole reason you have 99% of your subs is because you make the most generic co-animate/viand content possible. Wowzers. Dora gets grounded. I've never seen that before. It's beyond hilarious to me that you say like you have no defense left, meanwhile you're pointing out someone's profile pic which has zero relevance to the situation. Seems rather hypocritical if you ask me. Keep on making fun of people and making yourself look like more and more of a hypocrite. Your Bible Recreation 10,000 page essay replying to this will be ignored by the way, so if you're looking for more attention out of me then sorry you won't find it here. I just couldn't ignore the blatant hypocrisy. Alright. First off, Thank you for proving my point. You just wrote a whole paragraph trying to dunk on my profile picture and my content instead of addressing a single receipt in this situation. Also, I especially love his line, the whole reason you have 99% of your subs is because you make the most generic co-animate violent content possible. Wowzers. Dora gets grounded. I've never seen that before. Alright man. Let's take a look at your channel and see what kind of value you are offering the world. Just as I would have suspected blindfolded. Your channel is 100% the exact same low-effort kid does X and gets grounded / cartoon character does Y and gets grounded content farm that's been copy-pasted across this community for years. Look in the mirror first, Nola. Also, let's address the hypocrisy claim. I brought up Starry Purple Healer whatever's profile picture because a 21-year-old adult inserted themselves into a situation they weren't involved in, contributed nothing of value, ignored documented evidence clearly laid out in the post, and then acted smug about it. The profile picture is just the cherry on top of why is an adult acting like this. The actual point is, you're grown, and you're still doing drive-by comments like a middle schooler. Basically, I'm saying if you're old enough to drink and vote and you're spending your free time defending a raid and throwing insults at someone you don't know, your priorities are Now, Nola goes on to say, your whole entire success is a complete joke and 99% of your subs are because you make generic content. This is the part where I'm going to remind you that subscribers on YouTube are a reflection of who actually knows how to build and maintain an audience. If my work is such a joke, why are you in my comments writing essays about me? Why are you here? Why are you spending your day trying to get my attention? And here's the part where I have to be brutally honest, your entire pivot into your channel sucks is a giant neon sign on full display that you have nothing to say about the actual issue. Because if you had real evidence Shaun wasn't involved, you would have posted it. If you had screenshots from the rating server showing Shaun objecting, leaving, or refusing, you would have posted it. If you had timestamps showing Shaun couldn't possibly be in that VC, you would have posted it. You've done none of the above. And instead you were talking about the fact that I have a business-friendly version of Dora as my channel's profile picture. Congratulations, you played yourself. Alright. That was a lot. Now before I wrap this up, I want to sidetrack for a second and address the bigger pattern you should be noticing here, because it's not subtle. When someone is actually innocent in a situation like this, their defense doesn't look like whatever the hell this was. Now, with all that said, I'm going to close this video out with something simple. This is a documented raid that happened on December 27th, while I was offline with family obligations, and the only reason it didn't get my server wiped off the platform is because we weren't too late. Shaun was responsible, Joaquin was responsible, Alex was responsible, and J4 was responsible. And finally, to the handful of people in the comments of my recent posts trying to defend Shaun and his friends, if you genuinely have evidence that disproves involvement, then show me. Don't hint at it. Don't tease it. Post it. Because right now the only evidence anyone has seen is evidence that supports exactly what I said. To everyone else, thank you for watching this video to the end. Again, the entire purpose of my channel's existence is to make entertaining content for you all, and it genuinely kills me to have to make a video about this. Rest assured my Christmas special is still in the works and it will be out soon. With all that out of the way, my name is Zach, keep doing what you're doing, and have a good one. Cheers.